So, this was a difficult week to select a film because not a lot came out. And of the things that came out, it was hard to pick one that looked interesting, or like I'd want to sit through it. And for a few minutes, I was debating about not doing a film this week. But then I kind of remembered my mission statement for this series, and one of the reasons I keep doing it, and that is to make me see movies I wouldn't otherwise see. So I had to take a chance, and I chose this, and I'm glad I did. Good movie. I don't go in for many foreign language films. Not that I don't like them, because a lot of the foreign language films I've seen, I've liked. Not that I've seen a whole lot, but the ones I've seen have a pretty good success rate. It's more for the fact that, this sounds dumb, but, you gotta commit yourself to reading for 2 hours, which I have no problem with reading, but it's like trying to watch the screen, trying to watch the words and everything. I mean, that's a dedication you really got to hit. And there were 2 foreign language films out, this one and a German one. And the only reason I went to this one is the German one just seemed very pat, very something I'd seen before. And this one, I had no clue what was going on. I watched the trailer, and it's like because the trailer has no dialogue in it, as far as I can recall, because, again, it's a foreign language film, so you'd have to, do subtitles or something for a trailer, which is, I'm sure, a real pain in the rear end. So I went into this with very little in the way of foreknowledge, even less than I do normally. So, if you haven't heard of this, and even if you had, odds are you're not sure what's going on. So Penelope Cruz returns to her home village from Argentina with her 2 kids for her sister's wedding. And she's reunited with, her family and her longtime lover, the one that got away, Paco, played by Gerard Borman. I'm gonna mess up his name so bad. I don't know. I'm just gonna call him Paco because that's the name. That's the name of his character. I'm not being racist. That's the name of his character. Is Paco. So I'm just gonna say Paco so I don't butcher Gerard. I don't want to butcher his name. And it looks like it's gonna be a fairly standard, girl comes home for a wedding movie, and you're, the guy that she was once in love with, and now he's got a wife and everything, and and you can tell there's still some chemistry, so you're like, okay, we kind of know where this is heading. Pardon me, the camera's kind of bouncing all over the place there. We know where this is headed, they're gonna, maybe get back together, and then there'll be a drama with the father, and blah, 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 and you're like, all right, fine, cool. So you're thinking like the everybody knows of the title is, the everybody knows about them, and you're like, okay, fine. And then, so the wedding goes off, and it's very lovely, and the wedding looks like a lot of fun, and you're like, yay. And then, out of nowhere, Penelope Cruz's daughter is kidnapped. And the film just goes, takes a sharp turn. And you're like, and I'm like, wait, what? And so now the film is about, trying to get the girl back. And amongst trying to pay the ransom and get the girl back, then all the drama of, the past love affair and everything comes out. So it's your standard girl goes home for a wedding picture with a bit of ransom in it. So yeah, tonal shift, big tonal shift going on. So this is one that's hard to judge. Well, not hard to judge, but kind of hard to talk about why. because I liked it. I thought it was very good. I thought everything progressed in a very natural way. The film felt from like start to finish very natural and very, I don't know, almost distractingly so. You know, like there's not a big tonal shift or a big visual shift or anything from when everything's happy to when, we're worried about, kidnapped daughter thing. The colors are all very much the same. The tone is very much the same. Nothing really changes. It's all very, almost slice of life. Which I liked, and then in some ways I didn't like, because sometimes it felt like even though everything was about getting this girl back, for instance, the main thing is that, they kidnap her for ransom, clearly, and, Penelope Cruz kind of admits to her family that her husband doesn't have a job. He's been unemployed for 2 years. So it falls on Paco. The only way he can kind of get the money is to sell his vineyard. So it's this whole thing of him going through that struggle of, selling the vineyard and, to save someone else's kid, to save the daughter of his one-time lover and all this. So it's all that. And that's all good, but sometimes just because there's no tonal shift, there's no, again, no change in angles or anything like that, it sometimes feels like they've completely forgotten about the girl. Even though she's at the core of everything and driving everything, sometimes the conversations and everything about, past secrets and big plot twists, which I won't ruin here, it almost feels like they're coming out of nowhere, almost like they're coming out of another movie. It doesn't feel like, and again, that could be, what that could also be a problem of, is the language barrier. Since I don't speak the language, maybe I'm having a harder time picking up on changes in inflection and whatnot. So that's a possibility. That could be part of the problem. As far as I can tell, again, when you're reading the screen and everything, as far as I can tell, the acting is pretty top notch. Yeah, I think it's a good sign. This one, and I remember Everybody Loves Somebody, the romantic comedy I saw a year ago, where the acting is so good that for a little while there you kind of forget that you're reading and listening, and you have to kind of combine those two sources to tell the story. If the movie's so good and the acting is so good, and you almost feel like you can almost understand the language just from the way they're talking and what they're delivering, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So yeah, I think the acting was very good. It sounds so weird to say. I'm pretty sure it was good. The only problem I have with the casting, and this could be a language barrier thing. I don't think so. I think this is just kind of a problem with the film, is that so many of the characters look alike. So many of the female characters, Penelope Cruz, I know they try to cast people who look like they could be related, but Penelope Cruz, and who I assume is her younger sister, look so much alike. The girl really does look like a younger Penelope Cruz, that at times I'm like, wait, who are you? Which one are you? And we get introduced to characters that I do not know how they are related to the family as a whole. I missed something somewhere. There's a character, Fernando, who's like, in almost every scene, he's always speaking for the family. He's always, and I had no idea until the very last shot of the movie who this guy was. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm wrong. The girl who looked like Penelope Cruz is not Penelope Cruz's sister in the movie. It's her niece, because she is Penelope Cruz's sister's daughter, and her sister is married to Fernando. Okay, I got it. I got it. The fact that I am just now making that connection is not a good thing. Okay? That it was very unclear who these people were to one another. You got they were all a family, but it's like, where does each piece fit? Was a very difficult thing to kind of wrap your head around. At least for me, I had a hard, and again, this could be the language barrier. Like if they were just, if I understood the language, I could probably go, oh, okay, that's so-and-so there. But I might have missed that, that subtitle or something like that. So this movie has many different tones, many different types of subplots, many different twists and turns. It's a mystery, but the mystery gets downplayed. It's a girl comes home and faces her past story, but the mystery kind of overshadows parts of that. It's a a father accepting his failings, but I don't know. I think this movie tries to wear a lot of hats, and I'd say 90% of it does so very well and does so very fluidly, and in a series of events and a series of emotional reactions that make logical sense. So that's hard to do. I think there are points where one tone or one story or one type of movie overshadows the other. But the fact that they pulled it off as successfully as they did is a testament to kind of how well the film's made. The only other thing I can think of kind of not in this movie's favor is that it has a pacing problem. It is this movie's on a very slow burn, and it kind of simmers, which in a way is good. It lets the atmosphere soak up. You really feel the fear and the desperation and the pain and all these things of the situation and all these secrets coming out and whatnot. You really do feel that. But I think they put it on too slow of a burn. Because, again, one, the seriousness of the situation kind of gets lost when you're left to meditate for as long as you are. I think they might have been trying to go with, showing just how long every minute can feel when you're a parent in that kind of situation. But again, since the cinematography and everything doesn't change, there's still all this beautiful cinematography, all these lush colors and everything. So you're not getting the full impact if that's what they were going for. Honestly, it kind of felt like I was watching a mini series on AMC there for a while, for just how long it was taking and how much drama was being pulled out of all these characters as a result. It really did feel like a mini series they stitched back together, only without parts missing. And I think that does work against it, because I think if they had tightened it up a little bit, I think we would have felt the urgency a bit more, and I think it might have also helped with some of those story problems I was just kind of alluding to. So, bad movie? No, not by a long shot. Again, it was fascinating, to be honest. It was a really fascinating film. Fascinating to watch the characters interact. It was fascinating to see the mystery unfold. But again, I say that, but again, the thing I keep coming back to is that so many things are happening that other things got less screen time and felt less important. They bring in Fernando, who just now figured out who he was. So Fernando, after the girl's kidnapped, and of course the kidnappers say, don't go to the police. Fernando brings in a buddy of his who's a retired cop who's doing kind of some investigating on the side, and he's asking questions, and so the detectives scenes where he's asking questions and, you know, picking out holes and everything, those are really interesting. But again, then the mystery of who does it or who did it takes a back seat, almost so much that when you finally do find out who did it, it's almost anticlimactic, because you're almost like, well, nobody was really giving the mystery of who did it a whole lot of screen time or a whole lot of weight. It was kind of a, oh, it's that person. You know, and then you realize there's only two people it could be: the obvious red herring, or the person who we got a little bit of backstory from at the very beginning, and then suddenly that backstory comes back into play at the end, and you're like, oh yeah, it had to have been that person. So yeah, I want to say it's a good mystery. It has parts of a good mystery, but again, the mystery is downplayed so much that you're like, oh, okay. Like the way they handle like finding out who the person was at the end is very anticlimactic. And again, I think this is a problem with just kind of the way the film is structured. Because again, slow burn, slow boil, very natural. But even when they, you know, spoiler alert, even when they find the girl and the movie is ending, it doesn't feel like it's wrapping up. The girl is found, everything's, the main conflict is resolved, and you're still sitting there going, when is this movie going to end? When is the natural end point? Because nothing feels like an ending. It sounds like I didn't like this movie. That's fascinating to me. That as I'm talking, it sounds like I did not like this movie, when in fact I actually did. I will admit to being a bit bored by it at certain points, but I liked the story. I liked the character interaction. I liked the mystery. I liked that they found a way to kind of do one of these girl goes home and faces their past thing with a story twist that adds some sense of urgency to the proceedings, even though I think they could have, again, done more of that. But I think this is a very good movie. I like that we're getting a lot more of these Mexican produced and starring films, because, you know, 2 out of 3 of the ones I've seen have been fantastic. This one and Everybody Loves Somebody. Overboard was shit, but, you know, you can't hit a home run every time. So I like that we're seeing directors who are new to kind of the casual audience. We're seeing a different eye through which the world is viewed, you know, as opposed to just always the American point of view. You know, so it's nice that we're kind of getting these. And again, the quality of them is very high. I mean, I've enjoyed 2 of the 3 ones that I've seen. So if you're into that, if you like foreign language films, or you like kind of interesting character pieces, or you like fairly engaging mysteries, you might want to check this one out. So final grade for Everybody Knows. Well, that is a toughie. I think I'm gonna have to go B. Let's just say B. Even now I'm like, you know what? No, B+. I'm gonna go B+. I think it would have been an A if the film was just a little tighter. You know, if it didn't meander quite so much. I think I could have overlooked a lot of other things, but it is a rare thing to be watching a movie and be intrigued, interested, and bored all at the same time. I can't think of a film where I've had that happen. You know, very different reactions all happening at once. It's a fascinating feeling. So anyway, I think a B+ is fair to this one. I liked it. There are some things I would have done different, but all in all, it was a fascinating film, and just, yeah, I'm glad I took the chance. So I advise you take the chance maybe and give this one a shot. Alrighty, so something in my eye. Alrighty, so again, hard to select a film this week, but we won't have a problem with that next week, because next week is a film I've been looking forward to for a long time. Alright, one of my favorite comic book characters is finally getting her movie, and I am very excited. So, not only that, but that is going to kick off spring break, something else I have been looking forward to for a long time and am very excited about. So I hope you will join me for spring break at the movies, and until next time, drive safe, and I'll see you at the movies.